that's a story for another time.
Oh, yeah. No. Oh, I really hope they bring
anyways,
it back. Oh, also, I wanted to bring up one thing about the music.
Yes.
Wasn't the music in Crash to Insanity used for that meme of the stormtrooper?
Oh, the air humping stormtrooper?
Yeah, wasn't that Crash?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was, but I wasn't exactly sure, and I wanted to confirm. So, if you've ever seen that meme, you'll listen to Crash to Insanity's music.
For people who don't know, it's a YouTube meme. It's one of those stupid YouTube videos that's like, I bet you can't watch this without laughing, and it's a stormtrooper pelvic thrusting, like on repeat, and it has like one of the main themes from Twin Sanity just playing in the background.
Yeah.
It's incredibly juvenile, but it's kind of funny too at the same time.
It's so juvenile, it is fun.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Gaming and Collecting Podcast. On this episode, me and Alex are going to be taking a look back at another one of our childhood consoles, the PlayStation 2, also known as the greatest selling video game console of all times. Now, for this retrospective, we're going to be looking at a bunch of the games we personally played back in the day that were kind of more, not quite, like the major successes of the time, but more kind of the hidden gem, well, not really hidden gems, but more kind of like just the hidden kind of things we remembered from back in the day, and that we really have the most nostalgia for, honestly, in the end. Because really, that's what this podcast is truly about. But anyways, guys, thanks again for joining us as we discuss the games that shaped us. So, how you been?
I've been living. It's been a week. It's been a busy week.
Yep, and
I went on
got one more day.
I went on a field trip today.
So a trip with your boss.
Yes.
Somewhere.
Yeah, we went to a job site.
That's fun.
And the mechanical room looks like it's gonna be a nightmare. Whoa! Asbestos. Whoa!
Hazmat. Woo!
Woo! So it's gonna be a great time. But
alright.
yeah, I saw like.
So what are you drinking this fine podcast?
I am drinking buttercream Chardonnay from California. It's a wine. I got it at Total Wine because it was in the favorite section. And it looked intriguing, so I got it. It doesn't taste like buttercream, but it is a nice wine. And I do recommend. Yay. What are you drinking?
So, coming from the non-wine drinker, I am currently drinking a Harpoon Dragon Weiss.
Ooh. Is it good?
They're good.
Okay.
It's like a sour. It's like a sour beer. It's pretty good.
Ah.
It gets the job done.
That's all that matters. I will say about this wine is... Oh, sorry, you go first.
Well, I was going to say, other than that, this week's been pretty standard, mostly working. I'm suddenly, really busy again, so I'm just kind of... I was doing experimental jobs, and now we've figured them out, so now I'm back to just being bored because everything's running so well again.
Aww.
So,
I hate when that happens. Well, I mean, it's... I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
What? So, also, this week, I totally thought yesterday was Tuesday all day until, our mother pointed out that it was, in fact, Wednesday yesterday. And I truly thought it was Tuesday, and I'm just really discombobulated. I don't believe tomorrow's Friday. I don't accept it. It doesn't feel right.
See, I got paid today, so I know exactly that it's Friday.
Ah.
I mean, it's Thursday and tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah. I'm also doing the podcast today.
At the time of recording. So.
Doing the podcast today is a little discombobulating, but I might feel like death tomorrow, so we're doing it today. Wow!
Yep. I mean, other than that, I've mostly just... I haven't done a whole lot this week other than work. I'm mostly trying to catch up on certain shows.
Oh, what have you been
doing?
Yashahime?
Well, that's finished,
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm caught up on that until the next season comes out.
Okay. What else have you been watching?
I took a break from Full Metal Panic because I'm just not feeling it right now. So,
Yep.
um, I don't know. You got Yu Yu Hakusho there. I've got Fruit Baskets.
Hmm.
Got like a shitload of Sentai Filmworks stuff that I could watch at some point. But
Yep.
yeah, it's one of those. I know you're rewatching One Piece again.
Yeah, so some more episodes got released. So that was exciting. But I kind of want to wait to like marathon a whole bunch again. So I'm waiting. But now I'm going back and watching like my favorite episodes again with like the best like fight scenes and the best like. So I'm just going back and watching the greatest hits basically.
Okay.
Yeah, but they released more episodes, so I can watch more. Woo! Oh, but also, if anyone listening is a fan of the manga Berserk slash
Oh yeah,
anime,
the guy passed away.
yeah, I saw that on Twitter this morning, and I was like, oh, that's so sad. Because Berserk, it's a very good manga. The last anime season was not so great because they tried using the 3D animation, but the manga is excellent, and the original show and the movies they made are really good. So it's a shame someone passed away.
It's unfortunate. I saw it was all over Instagram.
Yeah.
The guys at Newbury Comics had brought it up. Yeah, I mean that's another one I gotta watch. So
Yeah, it's definitely it's good. It's very dark and it's very gory, and dark, very dark.
yep, a lot of animes are dark. So
Yeah, but this one, like I will say it like it gets dark.
yep.
You'll know when you make it to the episode. That's like the best, or movie, whichever platform you watch it. But yeah.
Yep. Okay. Well, I also wanted to bring up I'm officially converted.
Oh, to.
So let me explain. Let me explain.
I was like to.
So a couple years ago, I got my hands on an original Xbox,
Yep.
and it was mostly just to play like original Xbox game exclusives that I missed out on back in the day, like the Halo series and like a ton of like Sega stuff.
Mhm.
And just a whole bunch of games that I didn't get the shot to play.
Yeah.
So, I've been recently, a lot of my old PS2 games, some of them are, I mean, we had these things, we had the PS2 for so long.
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot of our classic, like, childhood games.
We played the
they're
shit
beat to
out of
hell.
them, yeah, so they're like.
Yeah, they don't work as great anymore, and rather than replacing them, I've decided I'm going to get the Xbox versions, A, because they're cheaper, and B, because I might as well try them out on this new system I have that's just sitting here.
Yeah.
So, kind of leading into our topic today, I just recently picked up a copy of Simpsons Hidden Run on the Xbox.
Yep.
And my God, it's bizarre how much better it plays on
really?
the Xbox.
Wow.
Like, it's smoother, the load times are significantly shorter, the
Yeah.
controls feel tighter, it's like, wow.
Wow.
So, our topic today, by the way, is we're talking about PlayStation 2 games that we grew up with.
Yes.
But, I mean, dang, the Xbox was significantly more powerful than the PlayStation 2, and it shows with some of these games, because
Wow.
I've been having a blast. It's funny, though, a lot of my, like, exploits I did in Simpsons Hidden Run on the PS2 don't work on the 360 version, so I actually have to, like, figure out how to play certain things that I always, like, used to, like,
Hiccup.
cheese back in the day.
Oh, that's so funny.
It's cool, though. I mean, going back to it, I mean, it's also, I got the version I got is the garish Platinum Hits edition with, like, the
Ooh.
ugly silver box border that's obnoxious.
Wonderful.
Not quite as obnoxious as Player's Choice on the GameCube, though, with the bright neon yellow, but
Blech.
honestly, we could probably do an entire podcast on greatest hits compilation re-releases and stuff.
Oh yeah, we could definitely do
That's
that.
for another time.
Another day.
But anyways, moving on to our topic, I guess since I brought it up, Simpsons Hit and Run.
Woo! I remember playing that game together. Well, mostly me watching you play it, but I think there's two-player, right? Sometimes.
Actually, before Simpsons Hit and Run, I think we should probably talk about Simpsons Road Rage.
Oh, I might. What was? I'm confused.
So Road Rage was the one that was just the driving.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that one as much.
So, because we didn't play this one nearly as much. So Simpsons Road Rage was like the first Simpsons game to release on the PS2.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like 2001, and you got to keep in mind the PlayStation 2 came out in 2000. So this is like a very early game on the system, and for all intents and purposes, Simpsons Road Rage is literally Crazy Taxi.
Oh, that's funny.
Like, it is the most blatant of clones you'll ever see.
Yep.
To the point where Sega actually sued Fox and EA.
Did they win? Or did they
It was
settle?
settled
Oh,
out
it
of-
was settled. Okay.
I believe it was settled out of court. I believe in the process, though, I believe Sega actually trademarked, you know, the little, in some games you have that little arrow on top of the screen that points where you're supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a Crazy Taxi innovation. And I guess Sega kind of like patented that or something and basically made it so other companies couldn't use that.
Without
So
paying them like a
basically-
royalty.
I don't know if it was a royalty thing, but in turn,
Well,
because they couldn't use that,
If it was
a lot of companies...
they'd have to like license it out to someone. So if someone wanted to use the patent, they'd have to like license it. So they probably didn't have it
Possibly.
licensed. So that's
But
why
rather than pay for it, a lot of companies just developed superior options like in-game mini maps and like on-screen like cursors
Yeah.
and stuff to get around it. So in reality, Sega just basically innovated the game industry by being Sega.
That's so funny.
But that game, Road Rage, is actually is pretty fun. I mean, it's literally, if you're a Simpsons fan and you like Crazy Taxi, it's like a match made in heaven.
Yep.
Because it's full of a ton of like nostalgia and everything, and like tons of like little inside jokes. But the studio that made Road Rage actually also made Hit and Run, Radical Entertainment.
Yes, which is the one I
And
know better.
Yep. And Hit and Run is often considered one of the greatest licensed games ever made. Like, it's usually in everybody's, like, the TV trope, no problem with licensed games. That's usually one of the poster boys. Like, it is a phenomenal game. And similar to Road Rage, it is basically a clone of Grand Theft Auto.
Yep.
But Simpsons, so...
But Simpsons. So.
Honestly, the game's fun. Like, it's split up into a bunch of missions, and you kind of do objectives through each one. There's like a whole like story going on in the background. All the Simpsons voice cast comes over. I believe they got writers involved as well.
Oh, really? Wow.
And you're basically it feels like you're in the Simpsons world, and it's fun. I will admit though, towards the end, that game gets brutally hard. Like,
no, I
the
remember
final...
I remember watching you play and like getting super frustrated and like having to replay and replay and replay. I remember.
Oh yeah, because
that.
the final four missions are ridiculous.
Isn't it like Mr. Burnt? Like you have to drive through the power plant, Mr. Burnt, something related to that.
Mr. Burns isn't really involved. It's more you have to go from the power plant and get to the school in a very strict time limit with a very sensitive barrel of nuclear waste on the back of your car. If you so much as tap into something, it flies off and you fail the mission.
Yep.
And you have to do this like 4 times. The first 2 aren't so bad. The second one is a pain in the ass because you have to like avoid like this like alien like muscle car that chases you around.
Oh no.
And then the third one you have to race. You have to outrace the muscle car.
Yep.
And then get the nuclear waste, and then you have to like outrun it again, all in this really sensitive vehicle. Because by the last 2 missions you don't get to pick the vehicle, but the final missions is ridiculously like a very loose controlling and overly fast like car that's like just a pain.
Mm-hmm.
And oh man, that's like one of the most stressful things in that game.
Wow. Yeah, I'm remembering that now. I remember you struggling through it and me being like, I don't know what to do. Like, be like, I think I would run away whenever you got angry. I'd be like,
Well, this was like middle school time too, so I was a lot more prone to anger, and my dexterity was pretty crap.
That was
so.
your angst years. Your angst. You were an angsty teen.
I'm probably more angsty now than I was back then.
Yeah, everyone's angsty in high school. Everyone is.
That was middle school. Alex,
Oh,
not
middle
high
school. Everyone's middle to high school. Everyone's just full of angst. They're just like, I hate everything. High school.
Maybe you're just thinking of us.
No, a lot of people do. A lot of people felt that way. It wasn't just us.
Yeah. Well, aside from that, then like another, like obviously something we're not going to talk about is we've already touched on the Nickelodeon games as well.
Oh yeah.
And I mean we can say we enjoyed them back in the day, even if they're not the
Greatest.
Say, other than Battle for Bikini Bottom,
Yeah.
they're not the most groundbreaking games of all time.
But they were fun, and we had great memories playing them.
They're very nostalgic looking back, but I mean, we did a whole podcast on those.
Yeah,
So if you want to hear more on that. But another game that was like one of our most played games on the original PlayStation, this was a co-op game, was Lego Star Wars. Both 1 and 2. So
sorry, all my memories of Lego Star Wars are just like purposely fucking off, just to bug you and be annoying. Like purposely dying, purposely keeping. Cause wasn't Lego Star Wars one of those games like if like both the characters weren't moving forward, like the screen wouldn't progress? Was it one of those games? Yeah, just purposely.
they hadn't figured out ways to like to do like. They hadn't figured out ways to like kind of separate characters in a co-op game like that yet. So, but anyways, as for Lego Star Wars, that was nowadays there's Lego games for everything, and they're like kind of it's insane. But Lego Star Wars, the original one, that was the first.
Yeah, that was
developed by Traveler's Tales. One of the last games to use their classic logo.
Yep.
With the like the raccoon
little like
animal
thing on a moon. Is it on like a moon? He's like fishing.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So the first Lego Star Wars was an adaptation of, ironically, the prequels, so 1, 2, and 3. And it was basically like very like toned down, kind of like humorous like reinterpretations. Like this is before they got really legit with the Lego games and started including like voice acting and like going way over the top with everything.
Yep.
So everything was more kind of just like the humor was more based off of like Legos, so it was kind of like you'd have like they'd kind of just like pantomime and like they wouldn't talk and they'd kind of have to like it was all more visual humor.
Yeah.
In that very Lego way, like the characters would just fall apart, like arms would fall, like just random stuff like that.
Yep.
But the games themselves are kind of like platformy, like hack and slash, very arcadey feeling, very easy to pick up and play.
Oh yeah.
Super good for like children or younger people like to play along with, like not have to worry.
Yeah.
But one of the things about Lego Star Wars is so whenever a character dies, you lose your studs, Lego studs, and you need those to buy more items. So when you have someone who's trolling and constantly dying, your studs are just gonna drain like nothing else.
Yes.
Like I remember, I kicked you out of the game because you were just being too much.
Yep, I was the worst. I'm so sorry. I definitely. But that was like one of the only games that like I could really pick up and play and like I was pretty good at that like we could co-op together. But of course, I took it too far and I had to be a jerk.
Now here's the fun part. When I finally unlocked the invincibility like power up, it changed your entire perspective because you couldn't grief anymore.
I know. Why'd you do that? Griefing is my passion.
Because it made you actually sit down and play the game.
But I had so much fun trolling you.
Well, it's funny, too, that you enjoyed that game because you're not even a Star Wars fan.
No, I don't even really... I mean, like, I don't hate Star Wars, but, like, I don't... It's not something that, like, I'll go and watch on my own.
You never cared, like...
Yeah, I'd rather watch One Piece, okay?
It's alright. I'm honestly more of a Babylon 5 fan anyways, but...
I just never really got into the whole Star Trek, Star Wars, all the star people in the sky, spaceships. I just never got into it.
So you're not a sci-fi person?
Yeah, I guess... Well, do superheroes count as sci-fi? Does that count as...
Not really.
No, okay.
No.
Unless
they're in space, but...
Because I like the superhero movie. I don't know. I just never really could get into the whole space thing. But I think space is cool, but, like, I don't know. I couldn't get into it, but I liked playing the games.
Well, the Lego games are so harmless that it's like, yeah, whatever.
Well, it was always cute, like, to, like, build the things, too. Like, you'd pick up all the pieces and you'd like build it, or couldn't you also use like the Force to build things?
So
sometimes?
in the original Lego Star Wars, it was only Force.
Mm-hmm.
In Lego Star Wars 2, they added
the build
a
mechanic.
bunch of stuff,
Yeah.
which added like building and like custom character creation, a whole bunch of like different things, like additional like different doors that you needed specific characters. Basically, a lot more replay value and a lot more strategic stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember playing the hell out of Lego Star Wars was like one of those games that nowadays there's no reason to pick up 1 and 2 because there's the complete saga.
Yeah.
Which is a PS3, Xbox 3. Actually, it's probably on PS2 and everything too, but I have the PS3 version for that. But it's basically both games combined together in one package with like additional content and updates.
Okay, so it makes more sense to just play that.
It's the definitive version.
Yeah.
But the first two are pretty cool to look back at, just as kind of like a nostalgic thing. Like I still have the save data on my memory card.
Aww.
So.
Well, especially it was our childhood too, so like you got to look back
Oh.
and go, "Oh, childhood."
Speaking of PlayStation, like diverting back a little bit to, you remember the PlayStation 2 intro, right?
PlayStation 2 intro.
You know the block, like those like cubes, and it was like they would like come towards the screen, and then it would go transition into the
Wait,
menu
is
with,
that
like, the spinning? No, that's the game.
Oh
that's the GameCube.
shoot! Sorry, I was thinking of all the memes where they like put a clip in the.
Yeah. No, the PlayStation 2, BIOS like introduction screen is like super chill, and then it transitions onto that screen with like the floating like memory cards and then the disc depending on what was in the system.
Oh yeah. I don't remember that intro clip, but I do remember the floating disc and memory cards.
See, if you look it up, you'll probably remember it right away. But what I loved about the memory card graphical interface was you click on the memory cards and then each little icon had its own like 3D little thing in there. And it's amazing going back at looking at your memory cards and just seeing all those things, because I never deleted anything, so everything's still present in there. And it's cool just looking back at it, like all the different games you played back in the day.
Yeah. Aw, that's so cute.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
But speaking of Traveler's Tales, moving on to another game that they made. So after Naughty Dog moved on to the Jak and Daxter series,
Yep.
Crash Bandicoot moved on to other developers, and the first of which was Traveler's Tales.
Yes. And they
who would make the next 2 games in the series for consoles, and the first of which was The Wrath of Cortex.
Yes. And that was the one that had all the different, like, machines, right? Like, he crashed constantly. He was, like, in that little ball thing. He had the robot. Like,
yes.
Okay.
So, Wrath of Cortex is a very... We'll probably do a Crash-focused podcast at some point after Alex, like, gets a bit more experience with the series as a whole, but...
Yeah.
Wrath of Cortex is interesting. It's not a bad game. Like, I hate when people say it's an awful game, because it's not.
It's just...
But it's not
great either. Yeah.
Either.
Because it has problems.
It's like a prettier looking Warped with... It's like a prettier looking Warped that's just not as fun to play.
Wasn't there, like, really long load times, too?
Okay. So we're gonna
because that's the famous, infamous like load screen where it's like and he's like free falling.
Yeah, he's falling through the air. So
I know that by heart.
here's a fun fact. the original PlayStation 2, vanilla PlayStation 2 release, the load times were infamously long. They were fixed with the Greatest Hits re-release, which is what we had.
Oh, okay.
That's why growing up I never got why people complained about the load times. Because on the Greatest Hits version, they're not short, but they're significantly shorter than the original.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because going back to what I mentioned toward the start of the show, the GameCube port also had much shorter load times because Crash finally went multi-platform. Although the GameCube port suffers from frame rate issues.
Oh.
Now the Xbox version, I recently ordered this on eBay because I'm really curious to play it now. It has the shortest load times, and apparently it has updated graphics that actually improves lighting and adds different fur textures and stuff.
Oh, really? Huh.
Supposedly, I've never played it personally, so I don't know yet. So once it comes in, I'm going to give it a shot.
Yep.
Despite playing Crash on an Xbox controller is going to feel really weird, but that's beside the point.
Yep.
But yeah, that's going to be something cool to like check out because I've heard it's the superior version of the game. But aside from that, as for the game itself, it's very much classic Crash.
Yep.
Like hallway designs, like you know, the game's biggest problem is there's a lot of vehicle missions.
Yes, I remember the vehicles. A lot of vehicles.
So, some people complain about them. They're not all bad.
Oh yeah, no.
Like
there's some that are not good, but then there's some that are completely fine.
I mean, because some of the plane missions are just like the ones from the classics. Then there's also the ball rolling stages. Those are fun as hell. I have no complaints there.
Yeah.
There's the minecart, which was... Okay, fun fact, there's a minecart level that's fun fact. You can just, like, literally do nothing and you'll always win.
That's so...
Well, actually, no, there's two minecart levels. There's, like, the first one, and then there's a second one where you have to race Crunch, who's, like, the main antagonist for this game. There's one where if you have to race him, you can literally just do nothing and you'll always win. Like, it's harder to try to lose than it is to win that thing.
That's so fun. Isn't, like you end up playing, like, instead of, like, having, like, what were the characters? There was, like, the rhino, who, like, had, like, bombs. There's the tiger, and then, like, they had, like, all different animals. It was just Crunch. And didn't he have, like, masks? Like, he had masks that were, like, certain elements.
Rather than the recurring bad guys that first appeared in 3, Warped, they're still in this game, but they're more of stage hazards now in the ball rolling puzzles. This game has Crunch, who's basically an evil version of Crash, and a bunch of elemental masks, which are all basically... The fun fact, they're all voiced by famous actors. Like, the first one, Rocco, is he's voiced by...
Is it?
I forget the guy's name, but it's the guy who played... he's from Back to the Future, I forget his name, but he was like the jock character from Back to the Future 2 or whatever.
Yep.
He plays him. The second one, Wawa, the water mask, that's Arlie Ermy from the drill instructor from Full Metal Jacket, which is amazing. The fire one, I think it's Pyro. It's Mark Hamill. So just Mark Hamill being Mark Hamill. And then the final one is Jess Harnell, who's like another famous VA.
Yep.
He actually was... I think he's the current voice of Crash, now that I think about it. But they were cool. The interesting ideas. Some of really fun boss fights, although some of them are also kind of difficult at times.
Yeah.
Some of the gimmicks were pretty good in Wrath of Cortex. Some of them not so much. It was kind of like... So the whole thing with Crash Wrath of Cortex, when the game hits, it really hits.
Yeah.
When it doesn't hit, oh god, it doesn't hit.
It's really bad. Yeah.
Not bad, just like, ugh.
It's not fun.
No, it's boring. That's the problem. And I mean, it's not. There are way worse games out there.
Oh yeah, no, there's way worse games.
Way worse games.
Superman 64, like that level game.
Also, Crash Wrath of Cortex has phenomenal music.
It does. Yeah, a lot of it. That's one thing about
'Cause
the
it
Crash
used-
games in general. They have really good music.
See, Wrath of Cortex used Traveler's Tales in-house like sound division,
Yep.
and they've done some phenomenal music over the years. Like if you actually look up their writing credits, they've done a ton of games from the PlayStation 1 era, and the music is so catchy.
I'll have to check
Like,
that out.
Oh yeah, like listen to the soundtrack at some point. I can't wait till that Xbox version comes in because I really want to play that game again after I finish Hidden Run.
Nice.
It's funny how this is a podcast focused on PS2 memories, and I'm
I'm
excited
gonna
to play Xbox.
Well, you're gonna relive your PS2 memories on the Xbox, so it works. It works. It works.
Well, I'm getting like a double shot because I'm getting nostalgia, but then I'm also getting like kind of this whole new like epiphany of gaming with the Xbox because I missed. It's interesting looking back at it.
No,
but
because I remember you used to be very like, no Xbox, no Xbox, none.
So see, when you're a kid and you can't afford multiple systems,
You just get angry.
You get really into the console. You get very into the console wars, and you get very defensive. And when your console of choice is the most successful console of all time, you get kind of smug about it. And unfortunately, that's not a great look in hindsight.
Womp womp.
When you grow up and you actually can afford to buy the things you want, you kind of realize they're all the same thing, really.
Oh yeah.
They haven't been different since the PlayStation N64 Saturn era.
Nope.
I mean, yeah, there's a significant power difference between the PS2, the Xbox, and the GameCube, but in the end of the day, they all mostly had the same games.
Yeah, and the thing is that in the end, they were all fun to play. So.
Yeah, honestly, every one of those systems has its strengths. Looking back at it,
Yeah.
That's why I always say the 6th generation of gaming is like one of the best all time because there was so many. Like the PS2 era was the era where they finally things really started to get figured out.
Yeah.
And we've kind of lost that, but we've also moved on from it. It's fun to look back at this era, especially because it's the one we grew up with.
Yep.
Yep.
Good
But
times.
anyways, guys, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Woo! Yeah.
And we're back.
We're back. Woo! Yeah.
So, anyways, following Wrath of Cortex, Traveler's Tales would remain the main developer for the Crash games,
Yes.
and they would move production from the main studio over to their, I believe it was like Traveler's Tales Oxford was the division.
Mm-hmm. That sounds
But
familiar.
they'd begin work on the next entry in the series, which do you remember the trailers for the name of the game was eventually became Crash Twinsanity?
Weren't they like live action? Like did
So
they have live action people, or am I just
Yes.
thinking? Okay, it did.
Not just any live action people. It was Steve-O and Chris Pontius from Jackass.
Oh yeah! Oh
Well,
my god.
at the time they were the Wild Boys, but
Yep.
it was them, and they were reenacting all the different stunts that Crash and Cortex do throughout the game. I remember that because it was like, wow.
It was so
But
like what?
Yeah, but honestly, it was really fascinating at the time because it was like, oh wait, so your Crash and Cortex are teaming up? What?
What?
It's like you were so confused, like you didn't really know what was going on, but you were intrigued to play because it was a new Crash game, and at that time I wasn't a jaded Crash fan who was so disappointed with Wrath of Cortex I didn't want to pick up the next one. I was a Crash fan that was
You were
like,
an
I like Wrath of
optimistic Crash fan, so.
I mean, I didn't know any better, and I liked Wrath of Cortex, so I was like, yeah, let's. Twinsanity looks cool. So we got it. I got it kind of late. I didn't get it brand new. I got it later on.
Yep.
Because games were expensive back then. I mean, they're
Yes.
expensive now, but I didn't have money back then.
Yeah. No.
So
Everything that you were
eventually-
getting was through Mother. Thank
Yeah.
you, Mother. We love you.
But yeah. So I got Twinsanity, and the first thing I noticed right away, the graphics are phenomenal.
They're
Like,
great.
This is the best at that time was probably the best looking Crash game ever made.
Mm.
Like, it is very detailed, very expansive. And the second thing I noticed right away was the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love the soundtrack.
So, rather than using Traveler's Tales in-house people, they instead used an a cappella group called Spiral Mouth.
Yes!
So the entire soundtrack
Ow.
is all a cappella. Like,
I banged my knee.
every sound in the game is being made by somebody, like a voice, like vocally.
Oh,
And
it's so good.
it's good. I will admit, it's not for everybody.
Oh yeah, no, but acapella
Like,
isn't for everyone. Yeah.
No. But for the kind of insane nature of Crash, it is great.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the heavy metal-ish songs, which are like, I'm not going to imitate it because I don't have that
No,
ability.
do it.
No,
do
I'm
it.
not an acapella
Do
person.
it.
It's pretty crazy, right there. Oh, shut up. But it's incredibly catchy. Like, especially the main theme of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just worms its way into your head,
Yeah.
and it never leaves. But aside from that, the other thing I noticed right away with Crash to Insanity was they were going way out of the box with this one.
Oh yeah.
Because rather than being restrictive hallways like the first four games were, Crash to Insanity instead implemented more of an open-ended kind of feel with like more expansive levels, which was actually something that Wrath of Cortex was originally going to do, but there was a lot of executive meddling that prevented that from happening.
Yep.
This one, though, they went all out. So, like, the first area you're in is kind of like an open-ended hub. And you can kind of explore and, like, find things out. Although, right away, you do start to notice with this game, it feels very unfinished.
Mm.
Like, it's very apparent from the get-go. Like, there's certain, like, things that kind of don't make sense or things that are a little questionable, like...
Yeah.
Cutscenes will just randomly reload for no reason. The audio feels missing at points.
Mm-hmm.
And going on, you later find out this game was incredibly rushed.
Yeah. And wasn't there supposed to be, like, a lot more content to the game well?
Like, it was incredibly rushed.
Oh. That makes me so sad, because it just makes me wonder of, like, what the game could have been, you know?
Oh, well, that's the thing, too, because I guess the creator, the guy who made one of the main guys who worked on it, actually, like, has reached out to Activision and says he's interested in making a remaster of it to finish.
Oh my god, really?
I've seen reports of that. I mean,
I really
no
hope they do that, because Twinsanity was just such like a fun, different concept for the Crash games, and it was just
the only reason
it had
I don't
so
think
much charm.
The only reason I don't think it'll happen is just because Crash 4 has basically it's retconned everything after Crash 3 at this point.
Yeah.
Because ironically, Wrath of Cortex was actually known as Crash 4 in Japan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So now it's like, nope, not anymore. Now there's an actual Crash 4.
Whoops.
But I mean, Crash 4 is a phenomenal game as well. That's a story for another time.
Oh yeah. No. Oh, I really hope they bring
anyways,
it back. Oh, also, I wanted to bring up one thing about the music.
Yes.
Wasn't the music in Crash to Insanity used for that meme of the stormtrooper?
Oh, the air humping stormtrooper.
Yeah, wasn't that Crash meme?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was, but I wasn't exactly sure, and I wanted to confirm. So, if you've ever seen that meme, you'll listen to Crash to Insanity's music.
For people who don't know, it's a YouTube meme. It's one of those stupid YouTube videos that's like, I bet you can't watch this without laughing, and it's a stormtrooper pelvic thrusting, like on repeat, and it has like one of the main themes from Twinsanity just playing in the background.
Yeah,
it's incredibly juvenile, but it's kind of funny too at the same time.
It's so juvenile and it's funny.
But anyways, getting back to Crash to Insanity. This game's also got a wicked, wacky sense of humor.
Yup.
Like, I think the writers for it actually worked on Ren and Stimpy at one point.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like, it's... Unfortunately, it's very unfinished feeling, but at the same time, it's really goofy. Like, there's some weird shit that happens in this game. Like, at one point, Cortex's brain just gets taken out of his body.
Yeah.
There's a very random fart joke just for no reason. Like, there's Spyro appears at one point.
Oh yeah.
Just out of nowhere. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's a cool game though. Like it's also cool because it was the first time you got there was like 4 major play styles. You had obviously Crash by himself, who was standard Crash.
Yep.
You could play as Cortex, he had a gun.
He had a ray gun. And it was like pew,
yeah,
pew, pew.
And he could shoot things. You could play as Nina Cortex, who was Cortex's daughter /
and she
niece.
could like grapple.
We don't really know.
My
she could,
daughter. I mean niece. I remember that.
No, it's my daughter, niece. It's like, what? They never really elaborate on that one, but then again, that whole game is confusing. But I don't even know if Nina still exists now that I think about it.
Maybe not.
Oh no, she was in Crash Team Racing, but that's.
Yeah.
I mean, she was in Crash Team Racing Nitro Field, I think.
Yeah.
Either way, beside the point. But yeah, so there's that Nina's court playstyle where she has like grappling arms, but she can also do like the standard Crash like spin moves and stuff.
Yep.
And then the final playstyle is Crash and Cortex teamed up.
Yes.
Where basically it's Crash has a crystal and Cortex really wants it, and neither side will let go. So it's like an endless game of tug of war.
Yes, and comedy ensues.
Yes.
Because I think at one point, doesn't he use them as like a hammer and a sled? Like,
Cortex gets used as a sled. He gets used as a hammer. You throw him places. You spin him around. My favorite thing too is on the back of the box. It has a list of all the moves.
Yep.
One of them is spanking, by the way.
Oh. Oh.
So
my.
in the roller brawl sections, which are essentially the ball rolling sections from Wrath of Cortex, only instead you play as Cortex and Crash in a brawl.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally, when you stop around, like if you stop at one point moving the ball, they'll break up and then they'll either be fighting, like strangling each other or doing something. But at one point, Cortex starts spanking Crash, and it's like, what the hell am I watching?
Wait, I thought it was the other way around. Whoops.
No, it's Cortex spanking Crash. It's like, what? But my favorite is the back of the box has all the moves listed, and then the one on the bottom, right behind the ESRB logo, just says censored. And as a kid, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
But now I do. I'm like, oh.
Oh my.
As a kid, I was like, why did they put the label over it? That's stupid.
That's dumb.
And then as you grow up and you realize, oh.
Oh no. Oh,
duh,
no.
they're making a funny. Yeah, this game was fun. I always remember that. I remember in the final. I remember the ending where Cortex gets transported into Crash's brain.
Yep.
And there's just hundreds of Crash, and he's in literal hell for him.
Yep. Good times.
That's a great game. I really wish was properly finished, even though it's still good in its own right.
Yeah.
Although it does get unforgivingly difficult at times too.
Oh yeah. No.
That damn chase sequence with the frickin' walrus in the boat.
Yep.
That one is annoying too because it's you have this boss fight against Engine on top of the ship, and then you fall down and you get chased by this like walrus thing in like a chase section, but it's really difficult for some reason.
Yep.
And then after that, you have to face off against Entropy and Embryo.
Yep.
And if you die, run out of lives, you're back to the beginning, and there's no checkpoints. It's brutal.
Yeah. I remember you rage quitting not rage quitting, but raging at some points.
There was a couple bosses in that game that were brutal.
But it was a very good game. Good game.
Yeah. Well, anyways, transferring on from that one, another interesting game that we had was... Oh, do you remember Thrillville?
That was like the amusement park game, right?
Yeah.
I remember
Thrillville.
that, yeah.
So Thrillville was...
It was kind of like the equivalent of like Roller Coaster Tycoon for the PlayStation, right?
So fun fact. Thrillville was basically it's a theme park management / building simulator.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually developed by Frontier Developments, the studio who made Roller Coaster Tycoon 3.
Oh, okay.
And a couple of the expansion packs for Roller Coaster Tycoon 2.
Yep.
But they're most famous for making 3, and they recently just made Planet Coaster, which is a spiritual successor to Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Oh, that's so fun.
They're really good. They make phenomenal stuff.
Yep.
But so Thrillville was kind of one of their experiments on the consoles, and there was 2 games, but the one we really remember from back in the day was the first one.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you make like a character, and then you kind of walk around the parks, and your kind of objective is you have to basically save these dying theme parks.
Yeah.
And I remember you could like chat with the guests, and you could actually have like social simulation things. And they were all fully voiced, and the character models in the game were very bad.
Oh yeah, I remember them being very ugly.
They're very janky. But what I remember is like you could make these ridiculous theme parks, and then everything, and you could test them out because that was Frontier's big like gimmick. You could always like test out the rides.
Yeah, you could like sit on them and be like, woo! Yep.
Well, my favorite was the roller coaster could be going nowhere, and you could just make everyone scream, and they'd all raise their arms and be like, ah!
But they're literally sitting in one spot.
And then there was also like, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna ask if you could make death coasters in that game. Could you make coasters that killed?
No, you couldn't really. It didn't have that ability. It wasn't like Roller Coaster Tycoon, the original one.
It's trash then. It's trash in my mind. No.
No, but you could like make all the roller coasters, or you could do like different. You could make like different kind of like carnival rides and stuff. Like place them around.
Like there was like go kart tracks.
Yeah, you could build go kart tracks that you could actually race, like a kart racer. And there was like a mission kind of objective mode. It's honestly a game I want to play again at some point, just to revisit it. But
the nostalgia.
There was also like mini games involving like the entertainment staff, the cleaning crew, and then my favorite were like the mechanics, because you had to do like a kind of like switch puzzle mini games and stuff.
Yep.
And those were pretty cool. I never played the second one. I do own it now, so I should probably get around to it at some point.
Didn't like people randomly like barf around the park and you had to clean it up? Wasn't that a feature? I thought it was. I remember
you had to hire more janitors and train them. That's what the mini game was. You trained them with the mini games.
Oh, how fun!
I always loved making crazy themes. Like I love theme park simulators. They're one of my hidden joys in life.
No, I remember you made like some wacky ones, and looking at it now, that would never work. That would never be possible.
Well, coming from Miss Engineer over there.
I try. I'm not a structural engineer or anything, but even I can look at that and go, yeah, that ain't gonna work.
Yep. So, the PlayStation was cool because the PS2 was just like on another level for a while there. Mm-hmm. But another big game from that time was so you know the Xbox 360 Kinect.
Mm-hmm.
And it was considered the revolutionary, the controllerless motion controller.
Yes.
Well, the PlayStation did it first.
With the iToy.
The iToy. Oh, the iToy. I love the iToy.
Oh my god. I think, did we have 2 iToys, or did we just have 1?
So, bless our mother, she didn't know.
Oh.
I got iToy Anti-Grav.
Mm-hmm.
And you got iToy Groovin'.
Yep.
Both were bundled with an iToy.
Oh.
So we ended up with 2.
Yep. One
of them never got used, basically.
Yeah. Oh.
I have both of them somewhere. I gotta dig them out.
Give me mine back. It's mine.
Yeah, I'll find it for you if you want it that bad.
I don't have a PlayStation 2, but I can still put my iToy somewhere. I'll just put it up in the corner and pretend it's a camera.
Okay, I'll have to find it. It's somewhere. But, yeah, so the iToy was basically, for all intents and purposes, the iToy was just a glorified webcam.
Yes.
And the iToy was cool because at the time, the whole idea of motion controls was still relatively new. Like, this was pre-Wii, of course. So it wasn't like we weren't burned out on it yet.
Yeah. It was a very new concept in reality.
I mean, it'd been experimented with in the past, but the iToy looked like the first kind of legit attempt. Mm-hmm. By legit, and I mean it looked like it kind of worked.
Yeah. It worked for some things, not everything.
So we didn't have the staple iToy games, which were the iToy Play series. Mm-hmm. which were so the thing about most iToy games were they were mostly like mini game collections,
Mhm.
and the most well known of those was definitely iToy Play.
Yep.
And I've played a bit of iToy Play. They're fun enough. Honestly, we should probably do a podcast do after we play those and like reflect on it.
Yeah.
But the other ones, the ones that we have the most experience, iToy Anti-Grav was like the one iToy game that did not use the camera
Yep.
the same way that because most would feature you on the screen somewhere.
Mhm.
iToy Anti-Grav like tried to be like an anti-grav like hoverboard racer,
Yep.
like stunt game, and it was out of all the studios to make it, it was made by Harmonix of all studios. The studio who made the first two Guitar Heroes and Rock Band.
Oh, that's funny.
Of all things. But yeah. And, I mean, it's okay for a hoverboard racer, but it's also not really fun to play because, not really accurate motion controls.
Yep.
Like, think Sonic Free Riders, only years earlier, and somehow slightly better.
Womp womp. Sonic Free Riders.
Sonic Free Riders is a lovely train wreck, but that's for another time.
That's for Sonic time.
Oh yeah, we'll get there one day, guys. One day.
One day. Someday.
But
not today.
no, that needs planning. But the other game, we can talk about grooving for 5 minutes because I think that's about how long we played it.
Yeah. Wasn't it just like a dance game? Like it was just a.
So, iToy Groovin' or Groove, whatever it was, for all intents and purposes, that could have just been a mini game on iToy Play.
Yeah.
The entire concept of that game is so simple. It's just kind of like you move to the gestures and then music plays. It's like DDR, but not as fun.
Yeah.
We played that for 5 minutes. You gave up on that one real fast. You probably had more fun with Boogie on the Wii.
I probably did, and that's not saying much.
No, I need to find Boogie, by the way. Still, I haven't got around to it.
Yep.
But so the final game that we had, which is there's a good amount of iToy games, but the one out of the ones released in North America, the one that I still think is the definitive iToy game is Sega Superstars.
Yep.
This game, it's bizarre because it's such a random game that's only really known for the iToy of all things. But Sega Superstars is like most iToy games, a mini game compilation.
Mm-hmm.
But every mini game is based off of a Sega franchise.
Yep.
And at that point, they hadn't run themselves completely into the ground yet.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a bunch of games, because Sega has a lot of franchises that they don't use.
Yes.
Besides Sonic and Yakuza at this point. But
Yeah.
I don't think Yakuza was a thing yet at this point.
No,
but,
I don't think so.
Yeah, because that was a late PlayStation 2 game.
Yeah.
But, so out of all the mini games, not all of them are good. Some of them are pretty miss.
Was that the one that had Super Monkey Ball? Was this the game?
There was a Super Monkey Ball game.
Yeah,
That's
I
not the one
remember playing that for some reason.
So I remember that one because it was kind of like you had to like rotate your arms to stabilize
Yeah,
the
you
ball.
had to like I remember
Basically,
doing that.
it was like a looser feeling version of the GameCube game.
Yeah.
But you had to use your arms. I mean, it was fun enough. Like it was cool because it was like I can finally play Super Monkey Ball, which is funny because Super Monkey Ball Deluxe came out on the PS2 like a year later, I think.
Whoops.
But it was cool doing that. The Sonic one is the one I remember the most because it was, the classic Sonic, like the special stage. You're in the tube and you got to run.
Oh,
and collect the rings.
yep.
So this minigame's basically that, and your arms control where Sonic is in the tube.
Yep.
So you raise your arm and he moves up with your arm.
Mm-hmm.
And fun fact about this, this game was the final appearance of Ryan Drummond as Sonic.
Oh, really? That's funny.
The original, one of them anyway. I think this actually was his final recorded game.
Wow.
Before he got replaced by Jason Griffith. But So the Sonic one was fun. The Knights one was kind of cool too. It was because you would have to
I
like fly
remember
through the air.
Knights. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one. The Virtual Fighter one was fun too because you'd have to like you could do blocks and stuff with your. It was cool because it was the first one. It was like full body of you on screen, and you do like punches and blocks, and it was really fun.
Yeah.
Surprisingly. One of the stinkers was unfortunately Crazy Taxi, but that's only because I still to this day don't know what to do for that one. You're supposed to. So that's another one where you're on screen full. Mm-hmm. And what you're supposed to do is like you're supposed to flail around and like scream and make noises.
Oh. Did it have a microphone?
Yeah, I guess.
Whoops.
But literally, I never could figure that one out. Like I'd just flail around like an idiot and I'd still get an E rank and I'd be like, okay.
I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing wrong? That's so funny.
Yep.
You should look online, see if there's a walkthrough. No.
I've seen other people play it and they still don't know what to do either.
Oh my god. Oh,
so
sorry.
there was that. So there was that one, and then there was also a Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg.
Oh
Another game I have yet to play, but I've heard very mixed things on. But that one was okay. It was kind of you pushed eggs around using your hands on the screen. I mean, not the best.
Yeah.
There was a Choo Choo Rocket game that was okay, I remember.
Okay.
But the one that I remember the most was the Puyo Puyo game.
Was that like the little bean people?
That was the one with the little... So they'd be like these multicolored beans would be falling down from the sky.
Okay, it is the bean people. Okay, I remember.
They're not really beans. They're like dot. I don't really know what they are in game.
I'm going to call them bean people. But anyways, continue.
Basically,
like fall.
You'd have 4 different like spots for the 4 different colors, and they'd fall at different points. And you'd put your arms out, and you'd use your arms as bridges to like load them into the specific like holes. So you'd have to like kind of like let certain ones drop, let others load, avoid bombs, and it was fun and very like action addicting kind of. Like it was like the only iToy game that I can think of that actually did interesting things with the iToy.
Yeah, like it really worked.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, there's the one iToy game that I really want to play, but it didn't release over here. Was I don't know if it was in Japan, but there was a European game called it was like iToy Monkey Mania.
Oh,
it was the Ape Escape monkeys.
Why didn't we get that one? What the hell? That's not fair.
Because we don't get any Ape Escape games.
It's not fair. It's not fair.
I've also recently, a side point, I mentioned in the Ape Escape podcast that I'm trying to track down all the Ape Escape games that I didn't have, the Japanese ones. I actually have them all now, so I'm going to be talking about them on the blog pretty soon.
Woo! I can't wait to see that post.
Yeah, I mean, I still need to get a Japanese PS2 to play most of them, but
I think you'll be able to.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, at some point. Money is kind of tight right now, especially because I'm visiting you pretty soon, so I got to save some money. But
yeah. Woo!
But yeah, aside from that, I mean, what other good game? I mean, there was the Sims games on the PS2. We played the heck out of those.
The herbs on the PS2
we kind of,
with the black-eyed peas.
Yeah, we briefly elaborated on the Sims games in our earlier Sims podcast, but that was a while ago, so I guess we can touch into it a little bit. So there was a couple Sims games released for the PlayStation 2. They were also on GameCube and Xbox, but we remember the PS2 ones the most. There was obviously the original Sims. There was Sims Bustin' Out, Sims 2, but the one that we remember the most was the Herbs Sims in the Sea.
Herbs, yeah.
Mostly for the DS game, but we also played the PS2 game a good amount.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was mostly just because of the black-eyed peas.
Yeah.
They were in the game for some reason.
Yeah.
And that you had Simlish versions of all their songs.
All the black-eyed peas songs. Well, I remember.
It was so weird.
It's really funny looking at us playing that game now because I feel like we really shouldn't have been playing that game. I don't really think it was age appropriate for the time because we were basically going to clubs and like the goal of the game was like to get into be popular enough to get into clubs so you could talk to the black-eyed peas.
Yeah.
It's so fucking stupid.
Why
were the black-eyed peas?
because they paid money to get them in the game because of advertising. But
I think they were super relevant at the time too.
well, yeah, that was like mid 2000s, so they were still relevant then.
Yeah.
But, you know, there were probably worse things we could have been playing. Honestly, I mean, we weren't playing Grand Theft Auto or anything, so.
No, did you played Grand Theft Auto? Didn't you have?
No.
I thought Dad did. I thought Dad had a copy of Grand Theft
Dad
Auto,
had a
and
copy.
you played it.
No, I didn't. We weren't allowed.
Oh, well then I remember watching Dad play it. I remember.
Yeah, Dad played it a lot. But that was the one thing, like, that was like the one game we were not allowed to play, like, period.
No touchy.
Like, Alex, I didn't play Grand Theft Auto, the PlayStation ones until I was like 17.
No. Wow.
And by that point, it didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
In hindsight, probably for the better. But yeah, so we didn't play those. Instead, we were playing Herbs, which was, I guess, edgy.
Edgy.
You wanted to call it edgy. Ow, the edge.
The edge. Oof. The black-eyed peas, so edgy.
Yeah. Edge.
Edge.
Just edge.
Wait, E.
So speaking of EA Sports, do you remember our travesties of playing NASCAR 2002?
Yeah. We'd make the ugliest looking cars.
No, I tried to make nice looking ones. You did. Yours were purple and green. You made Barney the dinosaur cars. So we're pretty big NASCAR fans, like, from our childhood. I mean, I'm still a pretty big fan. But we had NASCAR 2002 back in the day, and we'd play that.
We'd play that so much.
And
I would just drive into the wall.
She'd drive into the wall, or she'd drive in reverse, crash. Oh my god, it was a train wreck.
You know what's funny, though? The funny part was I was really trying my best. I just
Yeah. Honestly, we had more fun making custom cars back then than anything.
Oh yeah. Just like putt-putt. You made the custom. I don't know what. I'm really tired. So I'm really laughy right now.
I can see that.
What's wrong? I have so many memories of the NASCAR games. It's just being horrible at them. And you just
I always remember it was like, it was the radio people would always be like, "Whoa, that car is in the wall," and I'd be like, "What?"
You know what's
and
the
I'd
funny
be trying
part?
to race.
My part was like, what would happen was I'd be playing, and then I'd like think I'm one car, and I wasn't that car.
Yeah. You crash.
And then I'd be like, "Oh, my car's going the wrong." And I remember like sometimes getting so frustrated that I would just go in reverse on purpose. And then like the race would end and I would still have to be doing like laps.
Yeah.
I was the worst. No wonder you hated playing. No wonder we hated each other as kids.
Now, to wrap things up a little bit, another classic driving game of sorts was, do you remember Test Drive Off-Road Wide Open?
Maybe.
So that was the one that was like, it was kind of like open, it had like open areas and you could drive like these off-road vehicles just anywhere kind of in those like maps.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
The theme song was also like Fueled by Metallica for some reason. It was like,
yeah! Give me.
Yeah.
I was going to say that, but I wasn't exactly sure if I was just thinking of the Hot Wheels, but...
Yeah, this was like a really early like PS2 game. Like it was on a blue like compact disc, not a DVD yet. But yeah, this game, Test Drive Off-Road Wide Open, it's a racing game, but it also had like these open world exploration sections.
Yeah.
And they were just fun to drive around and like explore. Like those maps were big. And there was some crazy stuff you could find too. Like it was fun. And you could do 2-player modes and just drive wherever.
Yep, and that's what we did. We just drove.
My favorite game was we'd like go in different places and then we'd try to find each other without screen peeking.
Yep.
And it would get nuts, like, cause you just like all of a sudden I'd find you and then you wouldn't be paying attention. I'd just come in and just sideswipe you, like bam.
Or one of us would just back by the other one would be like, hey, come back, and you start chasing after the other.
Yeah.
I remember that too.
Or you'd get stuck in a ravine and you couldn't get out or something.
You'd be like, I'm stuck, help.
Or you got hit by the train in that one level all the time.
Yeah, we did.
Because you went down the train tunnel. And we're like, oh no, it's a train.
What's gonna happen? Oh, that was a good time. We had a lot of fun playing those racing games.
Honestly, the PS2 was a time.
It was. It was great.
And it's a shame because that's just the tip of the iceberg. There was so many great, even better games than that we can really get into at later times. Like, we really have to do a full-on Crash retrospective at some point.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Sonic is going to happen at some point.
Yes, definitely.
Probably can revisit the Sims. I mean, hell, there's all the Dragon Ball games, the Inuyasha games.
Oh, yeah.
Just random platformers.
All these different... Well, especially, like, I would like to do ones on, like, some of, like, the Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a reason why... The reason why we left those out of this particular conversation was just because we're going to get to that at some point.
Yeah. Because those are all really good games, but I'd like to do retrospectives of those, too.
Yeah. And, I mean, we got plenty of time. There's tons of games. We got tons of time to make episodes, so...
Oh, yeah.
The world is our oyster.
It is.
And it looks like things are finally starting to go up in the world.
Woo!
So
Yeah.
that's all we can say for now.
Yeah.
But, anyways, guys, thanks again for joining us on the Gaming and Collecting Podcast.
Thank you!
You can find the Gaming and Collecting Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Anchor, among other places.
Yep.
And, yeah, thanks again for joining us, guys, and we will see you all next time.
Oh, and it wasn't as much of a train wreck as usual. So, woohoo!
Yep. At least we didn't die in the end this time.
We didn't die. And there was no audio issues, so it's great. We're winning. Woo!
Yep. All right, guys, we'll see you all later.